that morning, it was like hitting $30,000. Like, where's this traffic? But our biggest issue was because we also went viral and like selling things out. We were sold out 90% of our store. We couldn't keep it in stock.
The power of momentum, when you go all in and be obsessed with that one thing, it doubles the whole thing. I'm a big believer in that. If you find the one thing you're best at and you like, I'm going to put everything I have into it for 2-3 years, most people succeed at that.
Remove every single obstacle there is to getting yourself online. If you're afraid of people like judging you, then create a private account and just get in the habit of filming yourself. I gave myself so many excuses and not press the publish button. Posted online and there was no traction. But we got it up and running and it wasn't successful at first. We changed the way that we approached the website and amended it as we went. I had people who were not only downloading my videos and reposting it as their own, the people duplicated our website and started selling in those countries, like trying to look for our products. And so it just constantly challenges me to find my USP.
What are the main differences from the content that you use for organic versus what actually converts well paid?
So different, so different. Organic, when you post it, you have to put entertainment first.
What are the things that you kind of got stuck with, or what were some of the biggest breakthroughs that allowed you guys to scale?
Yeah, honestly, it's my mindset. I would always have the excuse of I don't have time, or that's not something I'm good at. And I think subconsciously I was limiting myself from growing as fast as my business did.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. We have an ecom one for you today. A really cool business. They did $0 to $1 million within a year, just 95% off the back of organic content. They're in the third year of business, fourth year of business now. Only just started running ads. So they've done multiple millions of dollars off the back of organic content. So it's a really cool episode. I think you guys are going to learn a lot from this, the different tactics, the different stages of business she's evolved through. So we'll get into the podcast in a second. Before I do, guys, I really appreciate everyone who's getting around the podcast lately. Could you do me a couple of massive favors? If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 4,000. I want to hit 4,000 as soon as we can. It takes you 1 second. It really helps me out. And I really, really appreciate it. And anyone that's listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, if you could leave me a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, do all those good things. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Let's get into the podcast. All right, back again with another episode. We got an ecom one for you guys today. I think it's another really cool brand. I love coming across brands I've never seen before. And I think you guys are a really good example of like a fresh ecom brand coming at it. I'm sure organic content was a big part of your strategy. So I'm keen to talk about all of that. But we have today, for those of you listening and watching on YouTube, Pam Yip, the founder of, by me and crew, Australia's first ever semi-cured gel nail stickers. I saw this. I'm a guy. Obviously, I don't like manicure my hands and stuff. I thought, what a genius idea. Similar to like when I started Happy Skin Co. I'm sure when you launched and people saw your success, everyone comes up to you. Why didn't I think of that, right?
Yeah.
That's the perfect like product to market fit vibe. So let me just give a little bit of context for those listening about you and your brand. Obviously, we'll talk about it and go through the whole process. But for those listening, just to kind of understand who you are if they're not already aware. So as I said, first ever semi-cured gel nails. It takes about 15 minutes to apply. They last 2 to 3 weeks and are non-damaging to nails. Like if I was someone that's doing nails, it seems like one of those products that's like a no-brainer in terms of the offer. So hit $1 million in under 12 months. The first brand of their kind to be stocked in retailers like Priceline and Terry White. Obviously, most of the episodes that we have, it's not that it's ecom podcast, but we have a lot of like brand builders that are passionate about ecom. So we'll talk about all of that. But again, like getting into retail is a massive achievement. So I want to talk to you about your experience with that. And then, as I said before, seems like from the outside looking in, I mean, first time we've met, maybe 5 minutes ago, we started chatting. But in terms of the brand success, like over 300,000 followers on TikTok, 170K on Instagram with over 400 million views across the platform. So really exciting numbers there. I'm so keen to kind of pick your brain and hear how you went about planning all of this. And you've also been like all over the Today Show, 7 News, and a bunch of other really cool media publications and TV shows. So it's a really cool, fun brand. Pam, thank you for coming up from Melbourne and spending some time with us to chat about the business and the journey.
Oh yeah, so worth the flight.
Yeah.
So excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, your flight was delayed, but still made it right on time.
Oh, I'm so glad. Usually I'm not
perfect.
organized. So I'm so glad for the first time that I booked it like 2 hours in advance of arriving.
Just in case.
So that was great.
I feel like Sydney Airport, if you're flying in or out of Sydney Airport lately, every time it's been delayed. Sydney is just...
Yeah, I
not
don't
a
know.
vibe.
It was first time was okay, but I was late.
yeah.
So this time I booked it earlier and so it worked out. So I'm glad you're the second time I came back into Sydney and heard earlier for it.
Yeah, I was watching a bunch of just your videos to kind of get an understanding of you and your brand, and I saw that video of when you were running late. So I genuinely know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the brand. I like the story of like how you went to Korea, found it there, you loved it, came back to Australia, couldn't find it. Give everyone a little bit of the backstory about where the idea came from And then what your experience was like when you came back to Australia and realized this ain't anywhere.
Yeah, so I actually went or flew to Korea back in like 2019 on a very, very last minute trip. I was very burnt out because I mentioned before I had other businesses and I
Yep.
never stopped working in like all of my 20s.
Mhm.
I was like, look, I need to book a flight. And I'm glad I did because 3 months later was COVID.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and we were locked down. So
Yeah.
glad. But yeah, I went to Korea and there's a place called Olive Young. It's like Priceline on steroids. Right?
Yes.
I walked in, heaven,
Yeah.
amazing. I spent so many days in there. It's not funny. But then I discovered that they had the semi-cured
Yep.
gel nail stickers. I didn't think much of it. When I picked it up as well, I didn't even know that it was semi-cured, so like salon gel.
So what does that mean for the guys listening?
Yeah.
They won't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it means,
Yep,
and I sort
yep,
of
yep.
figured it out based on watching
Yeah.
your videos. What's
Yeah.
semi-cured?
Semi-cured is basically salon gel polish, but then it's semi-cured on a sticker sheet, so it's 60% cured. And we do it that way because it makes it super easy for you to peel it off the sheet, stick it on, and like bend it to your
Yeah,
nails.
yeah.
And you put it under the UV light for 60 seconds, and it's 100% cured.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, you go watch your videos, you put it on like a sticker, you like cut it off in
Yeah.
the right shape,
Yeah.
put under that like blue UV light, and
Yeah.
it's like a full rock, like not rock hard, but it's a hard nail.
Yeah,
So cool.
yeah.
Cool. So you went there. Was that for you looking for products? Were you just like, I need a break? Like, what was the intention for the trip?
You know what's funny? I went there and because I've been in business, my mind naturally just looks for
Of
things.
course, you can't stop.
I
yeah?
can't stop. Like I can't help myself. I really enjoy that part, like figuring out things, and thinking, oh, that would be really popular, like in Australia. But I did not go and think at all it would be in nails. It was funny because I actually ended up going to like a jewelry market, Daemun, somewhere else.
Yep.
And I actually put down like $1,000 to do zodiac necklaces. I went there and I never sold it when I came back.
Yeah.
It was really popular at that time,
Yeah.
but I never did it because I ended up in another business. It was COVID. A lot was happening. But I bought these semi-cured gel nail stickers and then I was using it and doing it myself at home. And it was lockdown. So people saw me wearing it and were like, how are you doing your nails?
How are you getting fresh
Yeah,
nails
they're
all
like,
the time?
why are you changing your nails like every 2 to 3 weeks? And I knew like when people kept asking me about it, that there was something there.
Yes.
But I started another business at that time
Yeah.
and I didn't touch
Oh,
the
you're too much like
semi-cured.
me. You can't help yourself, huh?
Yeah, it's bad. I'm learning to just
Exactly.
focus. I'm learning to focus.
So
I really
much better
am.
if you can narrow your focus to just
Yeah, I know.
less things, right?
Yeah. So then pretty much didn't touch much of it.
Yeah.
But when I received it, the thing about Korea and that the reason it developed there is they made the pieces like 12 pieces and really small because it was designed for Asian fingers.
Mhm.
And so like my pinkies are really like tiny. You can pass as like kids' hands. So those stickers were fine for me.
Yeah.
But then I mentioned to my business partner at that time, I was like, oh, I think there's something here. If we can redevelop it,
Yeah.
increase the sizing so it's a lot more inclusive. So there's no one that we can't fit now.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need to introduce designs that are a lot more trending in Western culture. So like we had like the Hailey Bieber glazed nails.
Yes. I saw them. I was looking at all your skills. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for ages, no one in like China is where we were seeking our supplier could do it. It was so new, that technology.
Really?
So didn't touch it. Someone like gave us like normal nail polish stickers. Wasn't what we after.
Yeah.
I didn't really spend really much like a full time trying to develop the product, but on the side for 6 months, we were just like back and forth sampling when it was ready to go.
So what were you like? So what were you doing before you launched this? You mentioned you had other businesses. What were you spending your time on before you launched this?
Yeah, so my background's in marketing and digital marketing in particular. So my business partner and I back then we were helping people make content.
Okay.
And that was like
So that's why
Instagram.
you're good at. That's why you're good at content.
Yeah, when people were like, "You're good at content," I was like, "Look, you don't want to look at my screen time. I'm not very proud of that."
Yeah. What do you reckon your screen time is on a bad day?
Oh God, I don't want to talk about. I don't know. I think 10, 12
Yeah,
hours.
double digits is when you know you got. Well, it means you got a good business or you got problems. Maybe a little bit of both. But
A little bit of both. You know?
hey, it works.
Good problems.
Yes,
Good problems.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're working. So did you have like an agency, or you were consulting, or were you like working part time?
Yeah, it was an agency.
Yeah.
We're basically helping a lot of hospitality clients make
Okay.
content on Instagram.
Yeah.
And back then it was just photos.
Mhm.
The way I got into that too was pretty funny because I was just taking photos of my dog when Instagram first came out. And that account like blew up when I first did it. And then my friend who was like super into food and always like taking me out to like brunch and places. I started taking photo of them. So I was one of those crazy people that was like taking pictures of
No
their
one touched the
photos.
plate. Yeah, I get ya.
So did that, created a second account where that also grew as well. And then when I was visiting these restaurants and stuff, I just like chatting to like the founders and stuff and the owner. Naturally, they started asking great content for us as well. So that's how we ended up starting the agency, creating content for hospitality.
So was By Me and Crew your first ecom brand?
No,
Or
I had another ecom
yeah,
brand as well. It was called Bubble Tea Club that we started back in
okay,
COVID.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that work?
So hospitality,
Mm-hmm.
making content for them.
Yeah.
COVID hits, all
Mm-hmm.
of them shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already burnt out at the end
Yeah.
of 2019, and then going into 2020, I just had a full sense of urgency to find income way because we had a team with us. So at first we were just volunteering online and just helping like our clients publish on like a Facebook just to find them as a hospitality because a lot of people didn't have brand pages, especially if you're like a local
Yeah.
restaurant and stuff. Anyway, so through that, I met my co-founder for Bubble Tea Club, and we were just chatting. So there's a group on Facebook called Subtle Asian Traits.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
like it was blowing up at that time, like over 2 million people at that time, and they were joking that they're auctioning a bubble tea for $2,000 on eBay.
Yeah.
I was like, you just make it at home.
Uh-huh.
So that's when I was like, to my business partner, he was in the food and hospitality scene, so he knew exactly where to get that bubble tea like supply. Brought it back. I was just in my living room and mixing the drinks.
Yeah.
Made a video, posted it online, and like,
Just blew up.
yeah.
How long did you do that before? And before you realized, hey, it's probably not what I want to spend all my time on.
You mean the bubble
Bubble
tea
tea.
club?
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard. I think, um, funny. I'm trying to think when I exited. That was like probably 2, 3 years ago. I exited the business. That was a bad year for me personally.
Talk me through the year.
Yeah, so that year, in terms of just personally, I'm very close to my grandma. So she was very sick. And it wasn't that I was about, it wasn't that I was, like, she basically was extremely sick and we know that she'd be passing away anytime soon. And so that really made me question, like, how do I spend my time?
Of
Because
course, right?
all of my 20s, I always worked. And one of my goals was to like a 7-figure business. And then I ticked that off. But then one of my other goals was to visit my grandma at least once a week. But I didn't. Ended up being like visiting once every few months. To the point
Mm.
she started getting really sick. And I was like, look, I really made me question my priorities. And so I felt like I was doing and created that business out of a really hard time and just as a sense of urgency to find income.
Mm.
But it wasn't really what I enjoyed. Like back to the semi-cure gel nail stickers, ever since I was young, doing nails is my way of expressing myself
Okay.
because it's something like you can paint on, you can do a lot of colors, but it's not in your face. Like literally, I could just be like my hands
Hmm.
full of color, but it'd be out of sight. But I've always enjoyed doing my nails. And what I realized when I was burnt out was there is no self care in my life. I spent 100% of my time growing my business. So my business grew extremely fast. Then that came at a lot of sacrifice of my health, my relationships, and stuff. So yeah, I decided to take a step back from that.
How did you start like making those changes? Because again, like I've been lucky to do quite well in business.
Mm,
I have friends that have, even bigger, more successful
yeah.
businesses than me. And all they do is work 24/7. They work in like 16-hour days every day. They work like 10, 12-hour days on the weekend. And I'm just like, does that really make you happy? Like, I don't know. For me personally, I want to make money, as much money as I can, so then I can enjoy my life as much as I can. And so it's like that balancing act for me.
Yeah.
But what was the changes you made in your life to sort of rebalance it and put it into a little bit more of a sustainable lifestyle, maybe like taking into the perspective of the things that really matter? And I think it's only when we go through those really hard experiences that you realize, am I really happy with the way I've been living my life and spending all my time?
Yeah. I had to think a lot. I was burnt out for over a year.
That's tough.
And and then I realized burnout was just a result of doing things I didn't like. And so it was a matter of I enjoy business. It's hard, but it's fun and it's nothing else I'd rather do. So
Mhm.
that's not the aspect that burnt me out. I realized that as the business was growing really fast at that time, like I said, I entered it um, at a whim. Like, didn't really think what was the purpose and goal of doing this was. And it came a lot of sacrifice. So now for this business, I love community building. So having a channel that connects with people, and a lot of my role is in innovation and content creation. Again, was what I enjoy a lot
The
of.
fun part of business, right?
Yeah, the fun part. But I'm also learning to juggle the the processes and stuff. But yeah, it was just finding a balance of doing the things that I enjoy and why I do it. So I've never been very much the person to do something for like the money side of things. But I've always done it to be able to create a lifestyle that would make my
Of
parents really
course.
happy. Yeah, because I don't feel like they've truly enjoyed happiness.
I know, right? Our
Yeah.
parents just again, like, I don't know your exact story, but our parents sacrifice so much work their whole life to what? Only sort of take a step back, smell the roses, and enjoy it at retirement,
Yeah,
you
like, and
know?
that's just their generation
Yeah,
as well. So yeah, I feel like nowadays if I make money, I know where it's going to, and so it makes it very easy.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So it does like having those motivations and those deeper reasons for doing it, I think is really good as well. But then understanding it at the same time, like, you don't want to be so into this business that in 20, 30 years, you're having the same realization with your parents that you did with your grandmother.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it's always good for the experiences, whether they're tough at the time. I think generally we come out of them better for it. Now, to take it back to the business, not your first business. You've done many different things before. You got that entrepreneurial mindset. You went over to Korea, realized like these products are cool. Maybe you don't have them exactly for like all fingers, like sizes and nail sizes and everything like that. You come back, you do a bunch of sampling. Everyone keeps asking you about it, thinking
Mm,
it's the coolest thing ever. How do you go from that point of like, okay, you've got samples that work. You know, there's a bit of a buzz around there that there's some
mm.
interest. What's your steps to like, okay, I'm going to make this a brand? And then what did you do in that, months leading up to like build up like some hype around the launch? Talk to me about the pre-launch period and how you got to the to launch day.
Yeah, so I feel like I approached this business quite differently from the first ecom because instead of having like the packaging and everything finalized, I actually use social media to help me drive this.
Yeah, that's
So my
cool.
yeah, so my packaging is green color. And my first collection, I only launched pictures of samples. And the very funny thing is like when I first took pictures of it, I took pictures of so pretty. Posted online and there was no traction. Like this doesn't make sense. Like if people like it in person, so then I changed the design, something else, and also changed the background. Um, so it was actually just gradually through time. Like I said, we probably spent 6 months just in the back developing this product. And when we received the sample, the one we thought was ready to go, I was like, we need to post this one up. Like we need to start the Instagram page just on Canva, created a logo. That logo does not exist now. Supplier gave us the templates. We were just designing everything like in
Yeah,
house ourselves. It was very ratchet.
yeah.
But we got it up and running, and it wasn't successful at
Mhm.
first. Yeah, we changed the way that we approached the website, kind of amended it as we went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool because I wanted to ask because it's always different to hear people's stories, and I think it's even better to hear like, what I was gonna ask you was for that pre-launch period when you finally come to launch week, did it exceed your expectations? Was it slow at the start? Sometimes I love hearing the stories where it's like, you know what, we thought it was gonna be really good from the start and it wasn't, and then you have to really figure everything out bit by bit. So what was that like for you guys? Not as like it didn't hit the ground running super quickly. You had to make some adjustments and pivots, learn before it actually started to scale?
Yeah, I think because at that time I was just recovering from burnout, I actually took a very long time to learn to slow down. I think previous me would 100% like website up on the same day, like packaging everything done in hard launch kind of style. But because I didn't have that pressure on myself, I was just posting or working on the business a couple days a week initially. And then I actually ran it through ads first because I was
Okay.
actually A/B testing the packaging color.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I just let it run, and for the first time, I wasn't pressuring myself to have to hard launch. So
Yeah.
it actually very gradually just happened. And then when we found the right packaging, the right colors and designs to launch, um, we just were consistently posting on TikTok too. Yeah, that version, and that was when it went.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was the biggest driving, like the biggest thing that you changed for a product like this? It was the designs, it was the colors that
Mm,
was getting like
yeah.
getting people interested more than the style of the content, how you're showing it, like how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. So what I realized was at first I was fixing and choosing the correct colors to A/B test on the Facebook side of things, like very top of funnel and the awareness stage. But then when I was driving them into the website, like the click through rate was pretty good, but they weren't converting on our website. And what I realized, I think from a month in, was that it require UV light to set the nails, and so like the printer and the ink, right? That's the reason why they set up the print pricing so low to get you back with the
Yeah.
with all the ink after.
Yeah, yeah.
So we launched a starter kit where we
Uh-huh.
offered the UV light for free with a purchase of 2 stickers. And then the website started converting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a big one, right? So you mentioned you were posting that this whole time. I really want to spend a bit of time talking to you about organic content because you've clearly done really well. Over 400 million views, particularly for a product like yours at the start before you even launched the kit. I'm imagining your AOV wasn't incredibly high at the beginning.
No.
So great to A/B test from paid ads. I thought you would have launched it from organic first and then brought paid ads in. But it's really cool to hear that you use that as like a testing mechanism. I think that's a really cool way to help get faster data around making decisions at the start of the business. How long did it take before the ad started getting profitable, do you think?
We actually didn't really touch ads. Like I used it to test.
Yeah.
But then when we blew up on TikTok, I was just posting every single day on TikTok. So we didn't touch ads until early this year.
Okay, so what's that, like 3 years in?
Yeah, 3 years in. Like we had it running on the side. But I so focused on doing the organic content and just like riding that wave that I didn't really have the headspace to try and make the ads scale. And honestly, I don't even think I had that much knowledge in it. I do think I'm into it now. Really enjoying it. Actually watch your podcast.
Okay, cool.
Adam.
Yeah. Oh, Adam's, how good's Adam? I've had so many messages about that. Adam's like, well, I was going to say he's one of like the best like e-com like entrepreneurs in the country. He was recognized as, he was like top 20 something, I think, for like e-com people in Australia. Now, Adam's great. For that, we're going to come back to the content piece, but you mentioned like you were so all encompassed by like the organic stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
When you finally started like running ads, like putting a bit more of emphasis on it, taking it a little bit more seriously, just to give some context to people that are sort of in this stage themselves or trying to improve their paid ads, what are the main differences from the content that you use for organic versus what actually converts well paid?
So different. So different. Organic, when you post it, you have to put entertainment first. So hook rate can determine the views. But in ads, I can get a 40% hook rate, but it doesn't convert. So I was like, wow, this is so different. And you have to be a lot more salesy on ads, which I'm not used to because this is my organic side coming in and like trying to have like genuine connections. The idea of like trying to like sell someone and like being very descriptive, step one, step two. I actually need to give a lot of credit to Jed from High Smile. I took on his course and I don't know.
Jed?
Yeah, from Creators Room. I think he just launched it, but he really changed my perspective on what an ad is meant to look like. Because when I was viral, if I chucked it in, I just chucked like the viral videos.
Some of the viral videos in,
into the ads. That's all I did. Like that's all I knew. And it performed well. And looking back, it performed well because I had such a high level of awareness, organic traction coming in, that my ads were literally just reminding people that purchase.
But it's also, if you've got a video that does so well organically, at least it's going to rank well in the algorithm. So you're going to get lower like CPMs because people, Facebook wants to show the ads to people, like show ads that people enjoy watching. So they're not having a bad experience. So that would have worked like in benefit, but then it's like marrying some videos like that with some like really like salesy, like step by step. How do we like hook them in and then, you know, give them the right information to get them to actually take action? Different to just like entertaining, right?
Yeah. Cause the funny thing is I recently got my husband to like be in videos of me. Like I had him filming in IKEA, pretending to walk up to me. And then I started off that video as the first 3 seconds of like, watch what this guy does. Great hook on Facebook ads, great views organically, did not convert at all.
Interesting, right?
And I think I've just learned this with Facebook is like, because it was hooking, it was kept pushing all the budget to it, but it wasn't converting.
Yeah.
It's a very high cost. So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's so many nuances to this. So what is the formula that you've sort of ended up with that tends to work quite well for Facebook ads? Is there still like an element of a strong hook and then straight away into like the education? What have you found works best as you get more and more experience with Facebook ads?
Yeah, honestly, I've just really been touching it more and like focusing a lot more these last couple of months. But like the things that would not perform well on social media organically is like putting a post up of our features. The Today Show and like news articles, stock is running out. That stuff has actually performed the best for us. I'm still testing. I'm still figuring it out. I think I want to try, actually want to change out the IKEA one I told you. I chucked it into the ad, had a high hook rate, but it was irrelevant. So then I think it just annoys someone that they've been asked to watch, they stayed on, and it had nothing to do with like So I would change the hook rate. Yeah, I think I'll change the hook for that one. And,
cool.
And tie in like how the nails work. Following after that, like first and a half. Yeah.
The way that I'm imagining would end up working best for yours is like a real, which is like similar for like nearly every brand, is like a really diverse network of different types of content because they will all play a different role. But like you said, you really need to have your finger on the pulse properly, because you might have a video in there that is doing really well, so it's getting all the budget, but it's not actually converting. If you're not actually in
Yeah.
there, like
Yeah.
watching it like a hawk, you might
Yeah, now
burn
I
through
watch
at
it every
70,
day.
80%. Yeah. You don't, or you do?
I do
You
now.
do, yeah.
Yeah, obsessed with it.
Yeah, I remember those days. Used to wake up first thing in the morning, open up my Facebook ads
Oh.
manager. Now I got Joe, so he does all that sort of stuff for me.
Must
But
be nice. Must
yeah,
be
I
nice.
know it is. It is. Shout out to Joe. Yeah. So that's really cool. I think like the Facebook, it's really cool that you got that far. So you essentially became a 7-figure brand without even really having any emphasis on paid ads.
Yeah, it was not our focus. It was just posting day in and day out.
See, like I don't like, keep like trying to like smash this message into people. And like there are brands that succeed just off the back of paid ads at the beginning, but there's so many founders that just say, I don't really think organic content works, or I don't want to do it. But there's just so many stories of brands that are launching so successfully, 6 figures per month, 7 figures per year off the back of organic content. So I don't think, particularly if you're someone that doesn't have a massive budget, you can just say, that's not me, I can't do that, right? Figure it out. For you, are you someone that call yourself more of an introverted person, more of an extroverted person? Where do you sort of fit on that scale?
The funny thing is, like when I was in my 10 years ago, I would be completely introverted to a point where I just did not speak up at all. And then through the types of works I've had and like jobs I've done, in a professional setting, I can probably be a lot more extroverted, but I like to spend more time by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more, I'm an extroverted person, but the more my job becomes like social, like podcasting, mentoring, doing calls, the more time when it gets to the weekend, I'm like, I don't actually want to see people.
Yeah. You need to recover
Yeah, I need to
from that.
recover.
Yeah.
But like you said, you were way more introverted 10 years
Yeah.
ago, and then you started putting yourself in the positions professionally that encouraged to bring that out of you. And you grow as a person, you develop these new skill sets. So I think it is something important for founders that aren't so sure if it's them or if it's not, to give it a proper crack. But the difference is, and this is where the skill set comes in, it's like you can post a piece of content every day for a month.
Yeah.
And you say, I've tried organic content, doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I could show you hundreds, if not thousands of other founders, creators, brands that have done the same thing and had amazing success. You as an example. At what point in your journey, you said you were posting, and then eventually something popped off.
Yep.
What was your learning curve like for organic content? Because you can be someone that sort of understands content, but then like specifically creating content for Instagram or TikTok to go viral, that's like a very specific style of content, right?
Yeah.
What was your learning curve, right? Like what were you doing at the start? And then what were the things that you started to figure out step by step and your content started to get better?
Yeah. Like the funny thing is, the reason I started TikTok was because I felt my previous business did not get on top of TikTok fast enough. We were always very big on like Instagram. It's where I was comfortable with, and like posting on Facebook. For TikTok, I just started posting. I don't know what I did it more with the intention of educating people of what gel nail stickers were, because nobody knew about what it was at all. So I was creating if you look at like one of my first videos, I might have like archives of
Do you
those.
still have them back? Yeah, I'll scroll all the way back.
I was actually going to say to not be afraid of posting things, and if it doesn't work initially, just hide it. I think because I've worked with some friends who are like trying to get into content as well. It's just remove every single obstacle there is to getting yourself online. If you're afraid of people like judging you, then create a private account and just get in the habit of filming yourself. Because I find the reason I wasn't posting initially was like, my background's not right. I don't look right on camera. I said what was just super dumb.
Yeah.
And I gave myself so many excuses and not press the publish button.
And that's what it is, right? Excuses to give yourself.
Yeah, but it's also fear of like being judged online. But then I was like,
Of course. It's
zero.
completely normal human like concern, right?
Yeah, but I was like 0 followers, so no one's
It's
gonna
like,
see.
it's either it does really well and heaps of people sees it, or it doesn't perform well and good news, not that many people see it.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
what can go wrong, really?
Yeah.
So when did you start getting like good at content? When did it start actually getting the results? Do you remember? Was it a week in, a month in, 6 months in? What was that time scale like for you?
I started TikTok, but I don't think I really consistently posted on it every single day. When I made and shifted my mindset to like commit to posting on TikTok once a day, regardless of whatever happened that day, the traction started in 2 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Is because I was also very active on the platform watching what's trending. For me, when I did the ASMR videos, which is my videos that performed the best,
Yeah.
I actually got the idea for slime. I was like, as much as I wanted to obviously do it to get viral, I was always very conscious as well of making sure it's still aligned with my brand. My brand's very self-care. And so I was like, ASMR actually makes a lot of sense.
It's very what's the word? Like people listen to ASMR stuff as like a mindfulness thing. Right? It's very
Yeah.
relaxing for some
Yeah,
reason.
we have comments of like guys being like, I don't even do my nails, but this is,
Yeah,
but I just ended up
can't
watching
stop.
the whole video.
I reckon I watched like at least your last 30 to 50 videos, and it's like just fun to watch.
Yeah, I actually shifted the content a lot. So one of my regrets though with starting and riding that wave of like the ASMR and doing really well was when I first started the business too, I didn't want to have my face in it. I was like, in the future, it just feels harder to scale and like if my face was always in it. But the disadvantage was everyone started their own businesses and copying our videos scene for scene
Yeah.
and hands, right? So no one knew my hands were mine.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I'd say like I think earlier on I would have probably in between like 7 videos of like doing my nails and ASMR, I would probably start in at least 1 or 2 videos of the brand story again and again.
Yeah.
Like don't be afraid to be repetitive
Uh-huh.
on TikTok.
Oh, of course, you have to be.
Yeah.
There's only so many things you can say.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, how do I say the same thing in a slightly different way, right?
Yeah, because my mind was trained very differently posting content on Instagram, where it followed like a very certain algorithm of like if I serve you once, it's by like chronological order back in the days.
Yeah.
So my mind had to completely rewire posting on TikTok.
Mhm.
I didn't like repeat post a lot of things because I was afraid that it would be like annoying my customers. But no, like I posted the same video that went viral 3 times and all of them hit over 40 million views. Crazy.
Exactly the same or very slight edit different.
So a year ago,
Mhm.
reposting exactly the same, you're okay.
So the
now,
same video.
same video.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
it's changed.
Now it's changed. Now because I don't know if you realize, but like for example, if you post someone else's video,
Duplicate content thing.
that was your duplicate. So the algorithm has changed in that sense.
Yeah.
Now you have to tweak a little bit. I would just more use those same scenes, but now put my face in there to explain it. Or yeah, create that scene in a different
Yeah. You mentioned you were hesitant to put your face in it at the start.
Mm.
What was that from? Sort of that like fear of public judgment? What was the sort of, thing
Yeah.
holding you back there?
No, not really. I think in my previous business, we were very front facing.
Okay.
And it felt very hard to step back and focus on like actually working on the business. So in my head, it was just more like, okay, if we grow and get busier, I can just hire someone to take over that spot and no one would realize that I wasn't the one doing it anymore. So it was more of that. I was just thinking, I thought way too long ahead of like scalability and selling
Yeah.
on the business.
I think like you look at some of the best brands now and the founders are all over
yes,
the content.
yes.
Founders are all over the
yes.
content. But it
Yeah.
doesn't just have to be the founder. And then people think, oh yeah, but what about when I want to exit 5 years from now? Well, there's a whole lot of time to plan that. You see,
Yes.
like going back to that episode with Adam, like EGC, employee
Yes.
generated
Yeah,
content.
yeah,
Like there's so
yeah.
many ways you can do that. But I think at the beginning when people shop and make buying decisions emotionally, and often it's like, do they have a connection to the brand? What's
Yeah.
the easiest way? Do people connect with a human being or a logo more? Obviously, they connect more with people. So if you can like tie yourself and your energy and that vibe of your brand in
Yeah.
that content, and
Yeah.
people have then so many different reasons that they'll choose to purchase with you, not just because they needed a new nail kit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, no, just the last couple of years, it went from UGC to then EGC. It just moves so fast because consumer
Yes.
is so smart now
100%.
that they can just like see through all your content.
100%.
So I 100% agree. You have to be a founder and like team focused now in your content to stand out because you can't replicate that. You can't replicate a culture. Yeah.
What was your experience? You mentioned it briefly with like heaps, because I knew I had this experience. Everyone has this experience. The High Smile Boys had this experience long before us. When you launch a successful brand and it starts doing well, and we spoke about you've got a bunch of media articles about you. That's really fun. That's really exciting when you start seeing them. But so does everyone else, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do that same
Yeah.
business, right?"
Yeah.
What was your experience like with all the competitors popping up and like trying to as closely as possible replicate your business? And then after going through that, you're through the other side of that. What was like the main realization that you had about your response to all those competitors?
Yeah, I'm not someone that's very like word, the word for it, but I wouldn't like approach someone even though they were copying me
Yeah, you wouldn't.
exactly the
Mhm.
same. That's not my personality, and I think
Confrontational, maybe.
yes,
was
that's the
the
word. I don't even know the word. But I'm not that type of person
Yeah.
in general, which is actually a bit of a disadvantage to me because I always saw that as like being nasty, but in fact, it's just maybe a bit more protective of yourself. I had people who were not only downloading my videos and reposting it as their own,
In there.
yeah, and then duplicating our website. So when we went
In
viral,
there.
when we were viral, it meant that we were reaching like Saudi Arabia, Philippines, Indonesia, UK, and we didn't service those countries well at that time. Like $40 shipping, like 2 to 4 weeks delivery.
Yeah.
So people duplicated our website and started selling in those countries, like trying to look for our products. So it's really hard. I think on a good day, if you ask me and like I'm mentally strong, I'd be like, look, competitors are a real realization of where your business is not very unique. And so it just constantly challenges me to find my USP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I have to, which is why I was like putting our face forward.
Hmm.
My strength is in content and storytelling and connecting with communities. Like I had to then really force myself to come back out making the content again.
Was there a little bit of an emotional period where you're just like so burnt by it and you're just so annoyed and you're like, I wish I didn't let that get to me as much as I did? Because like I feel the more attention or time you spend thinking about what your competitors are doing,
Yeah.
it's only a negative for you and your business.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, like last year, I spent a lot of time innovating in reaction to competitors. So I didn't necessarily like spend a lot of time like monitoring what they were doing, but it was actually a disadvantage of me to immediately try to innovate my home business because then I wasn't focusing on spending the stuff that was my flywheel. I tried to innovate a bit too much. Like we redeveloped the stickers so they were better, which now is good. But at that time, it takes a lot of capital.
Might not have been the best use of your resources, right?
Yes,
Time and money.
yes. It took up a lot of our headspace. So I actually saw that as probably where I would look back and be like, look, out of 100% of innovation that you want to do or approach a business, I would have last year spent 80% trying to innovate and do something different and prepare something new. And 20% of what worked for me, I would have
But
reversed
it
that.
should have been the inverse,
I
right?
should have flipped that. Yeah.
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 So what were some of the innovations that you've been able to do for your product? So you improved the sticker type. Like what are some of the things that you've developed over the last few years since you've launched to improve the product?
Yeah, so for me, I realized it's not about just like the semi-cured gel nail stickers. For us, it's about making the at-home like nail experience super relaxing and super fun. So we develop a whole accessories range that goes with that, and that stuff also just gives me a lot of joy too. Like we would design a pouch that reopens up to a nail mat because we notice our customers grabbing like magazines and catalogs to do their nails
So
when they're at
smart.
home. So we're like, let's package it up. So we kind of spent a lot of time last year developing like first ever like foldable nail clipper accessories that enhance the whole experience. That way, if someone was to try to compare us against a competitor, you can offer a bundle of stuff. It
And they
makes the
don't.
nail care a lot
Yeah.
more fun.
And what did that do for your AOV? Obviously, I'm imagining going through
Mm,
that process and releasing all these
yeah.
supplementary products was really great for your AOV. What did increasing your AOV allow you to do when it came to scaling? Was it help,
Oh yeah.
obviously, or
Oh
hinder?
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was very glad that I didn't react by price though, because I learned that from my previous business to
So are
not
they selling cheaper than you?
all of them were
Yeah.
selling
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my competitors was telling me, "Oh, we actually confronted one. Just my confrontation is going into their DMs to be like, "Congratulations on your business, but I noticed your pictures are exactly the same." I was like, "That's my way of like starting this confrontation."
Nicely saying it. Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh, it was my intuition to take the pictures like that." I was like, "Okay." And then I left.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I was like, "Okay." And then I left that alone. And then following a lot of stuff she was doing was very much like following us as well. But yeah, it was funny. We just had to like really think to ourselves, I need to spend more time working on things our customers want
Yeah.
and connecting with our
Mhm.
customers. So yeah.
So you spoke about community before. I think, it's a bit of a buzzword around
Mm,
the brand building space, around the e-com space. Oh, you have to build a community, build a community. It's fun to say, right? And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, but there's so many different ways to do it. Some
Mm,
brands do it better than others. What
yeah.
was your mechanism? Like, what was your approach to building community? And is it something you did consciously from the start, or was it something that sort of just evolved naturally? What was your experience like with building community, and how do you actually think you went about building such a loyal like fan base of those super fans that come back and engage with your content and purchase from you time and time and time again?
Yeah. So I think shout out to Lucy. She's probably one of our first ever customers. She lived near my business partner's batching all the orders. So she one time just messaged us and like, I really need these nails urgent 3 years ago, first ever. And then my business partner realized her address was very close to where we were dispatching
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh, just come pick it up.
Huh?
So met them in person and just like started chatting. And I think you replying to a customer and just starting a conversation with them like a friend, like a genuine friend. Like I just think about like for yourself, for my own business, how many of my friends around me would really just immediately purchase from me? Like this
Mhm.
person doesn't know me,
Yeah.
is willing to buy something off of me. And then she started referring her mom. Mom referred a hairdresser, referred every single client that came into her hairdressing spot. And then for the first time last year, when we had our third anniversary, we invited them into the event, and it's just so great connecting in person. Because you learn more about why um, they bought the product and why they also stuck around as
Because you've
well.
got a big emphasis around, like, as you said, and you've got that channel that's all about it as well, like your self-care.
Yeah.
Is that, you feel like, a core of what your community's built around?
Yeah, I think the very interesting thing is that we naturally had a lot of moms, new moms purchasing from us because they were the ones that used to do their nails. But once they had a kid, they could no longer afford to bring their baby to the salon and like sit
Sit
there
there
for
all
two
day.
hours. But also with like a new family, budget can be a bit tighter. And so they weren't spending any money on themselves. So I realized partnering with someone, again, it was a customer who was a mom. She was like to me, yeah, I'm so glad I found your products. I haven't done my nails in so long. I just haven't made time. So yeah, I just carried like my baby in my hands, kitchen, and plugged in your UV light, and just did my nails
One hand at a time.
one hand at a time. And another mom was like, "Yeah, I love the product because," and this is us chatting with them because they would just like tag us in Instagram stories, and so we just responding.
Yeah.
I think building community is actually just having conversation. That you can't build a community if you're not like actually chatting to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so we were just having conversations with people, and so when we would start conversation in the like broadcast channel, they started replying because they were used and they knew they would get a reply. It'd be so awkward if you're a customer and no one's like posting, or if you did make a post, no one replies to you. Um,
Yeah, I think it's great. Look, people can obviously like overcomplicate community building
mm,
as well. I think the biggest thing is time investment in that, and actually
yeah.
put yourself in your customer's shoes and what would make you feel closer and be part of the community with the brand. I think one brand that's like done amazingly well in Australia that was built around community is Stacks.
Oh
And
yeah.
we've all seen how big they
Yeah.
are now. Like
Yeah.
they were
Massive.
community focused from the start.
Yeah.
And bit by bit, they've turned into probably one of the biggest like Australian startup ecom brands that are going
Crazy.
around. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Now, I want to talk to you about some of the challenges that you face with scaling, because that's like a lot of people can have like a really good start and they can get up to like, a couple $100,000 revenue pretty quickly. And then like to scale beyond that, systems start becoming more important to the
Yes.
process. What has been your biggest challenges for the brand around how do you like continually go to the next level? What are the things that you kind of got stuck with, or what were some of the biggest breakthroughs that allowed you guys to scale?
Yeah. Honestly, it's my mindset. Um, I would always have the excuse of I don't have time or that's not something I'm good at. And I think subconsciously I was limiting myself from growing as fast as my business did. My business grew super fast. And so I was comfortable in like doing the content creation side, the marketing, the product and stuff I enjoy. But I was holding on to it and doing it so much that I didn't build processes around it. And I felt this the most when I got married last year. Fell sick as well and had to step away from the business for 3 weeks because I didn't have the right like systems in place. It wasn't running as smoothly as it should have.
No one could, yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't something in there that someone could jump in and cover for you or try and to some extent replace you for that period, right?
Yeah, because I've always known about the thing of like the do delegate,
Mm.
delay and all that stuff, but I never really truly looked into what each word described it as. The delegating was not more so about um, give away things you don't like.
Mm.
It was more of like you really need to be this person that does it. Like yes,
Yeah.
I liked creating content, and I felt like I knew how to cut videos, film exactly the right timing,
That
but
can take you half a day to do one
yeah,
video,
yeah.
right?
But that was the thing too. Like I made that process fast for myself. And so in my head, I was like, I've made this really fast for myself. If I teach someone, are they gonna be as fast as me and they're gonna like spend as much time looking for the angles? So I was too worried about making that process longer if I had to train someone.
Yeah.
But I needed to invest that time, which I'm done now.
So
Yeah.
talk to me about that, because that's it. Like the content, whether you're doing it organically or for ads, is probably one of the most important functions of an e-com business
Mm.
as they're trying to grow. What's your experience? What's your process with content? So two-part question.
Yeah.
How do you plan out your content? Like
Mm.
whether it be all your ideas and planning it a month ahead. And then let's start there and then I'll ask a follow-up question. So how do you plan out your content? What's your approach like? Do you
Mm.
just, okay, I'm going to film a video every day and post it? Do you have a plan for a month ahead? How do you sort of structure it? Because like you said, you've got the different like content styles. You got your ASMR, you got the founder ones, you got the day in the life sort of
Yeah,
vlog, you got
yeah.
the how to use it.
Yeah.
Is this just every day you wake up and what am I going to do today? Or is it planned in advance? How do you sort of plan out your content?
I used to wake up and that was my video for the day.
Mhm.
Like, because that part is easy for me, the ideating part. And I'm also like very impatient. So if I film a video and I get really excited, I'm like, I want to edit
I
it
wanna
right
share
away.
it,
I want
yeah.
to share it now. Like literally the one where you were saying I was late for a flight to Sydney like, a
Uh-huh.
couple of weeks ago. I did that like morning, arrived in, posted it on that night. So there's still room for that.
Yeah.
Like I need that because I'm someone that like really enjoys that
But that's
process.
fun as well. It's good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I try to plan minimum 2 weeks. I try also not to go too far in advance, only because trends change and things happen. Like I didn't know I was gonna miss a flight.
Yeah.
um, so in that way, I try to have 2 weeks of content. The
Uh-huh.
ASMR stuff, I have a team member who will now do that, and that's
Yeah.
very plannable and predictable for me. So I have those type of product content planned by the campaign. Um, so it really depends. Each collection has four, so I know there's already four like ASMR videos ready for that week, and they do really well. And then I try to do one founder content every single week to again, like I said, get the founder side
Uh-huh.
out. And the remaining is trying to do the ad content, which
Yeah.
I'm not used to again as well. So I'm
Yeah.
so not used to creating salesy types of content. So we try to plan 2 weeks in advance, and then we will pretty much sit down and look at top three best performing videos. Also look at what's currently trending on TikTok and Google Trends and make videos out of that. But as we're going to like, because I consume a lot of content, I will just like share videos and say videos of how I want to
Yeah.
like approach that. Yeah.
See, that's the important part. I feel like too many people skip past. They'll just create the content, look at it. It either worked well or it didn't. But
Mm.
it's like you have to have like the like constructive criticism mind, looking at your own content. What can we do better? Analyzing what is working and figure out. It's like because you can be in ecom, we want to be very data led, but you also have to mix like a bit of creativity with it. So
Mm.
it's like understanding how to get better
Yeah.
and like make improvements in your content. I feel like that's the missing piece. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's really good. So a little bit of a balance, what I'm trying to get at here. So you've got a balance between, yep, we have say 4 or 5 videos per week that are planned out. The rest of it in between, you leave some room for day in the life
Mm.
style ones. And you don't like to plan more than 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah. Where we can, like if there's like product launches, like the
Mhm.
ASMR, those are really straightforward. So
Mm.
that can be easy for us to plan out like the month in advance.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'll try to keep it to 2 weeks. I think 3 weeks is okay too. But if I'm beyond that, you might be like a trend you film today, and if you're planning to post it in 4 weeks' time, it's just irrelevant.
Yeah, yeah. So the trend
Irrelevant.
ones
Yeah.
is like you from idea to filming to edit to posting is as little time as possible. You mentioned the content that converts well on your ads can be very different to organic. From the videos that do really well organically, what are the videos that have performed well organically but actually convert the best? Like, have you been able to identify a trend of, look, maybe they're the videos that get the most views as well, or maybe they don't get as many views as like the best ones in terms of just pure reach, but they convert best. What are your best like converting organic pieces of content?
Yeah, I think when we were hitting like the 40 million views, I saw what was happening there. I was like, why is this reaching more than usual? And it does well because there's no language barrier.
So
Everyone
they
can
can go global.
it can go global. Anyone that watched that video can relate to the video if they have a head. But then that doesn't work well for ads because if I'm just targeting you, someone that does your nails, you don't understand how it works. So I actually had to find a balance of stop focusing too much on trying to recreate very viral videos. That should be like overrated because
Yeah.
it reaches countries you don't really sell
Because
into.
views for the sake of views, what does that do for you,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So I find like that video, if I put it into like the ads backend, it did perform well. But if I add text over it, explaining the steps, it performs even better,
Way better, right?
way better.
So talk to me about your like channel diversification. Like what are the
Mm,
main marketing channels that you use now? Too many ecom brands are over reliant on just one thing.
yes. Yeah.
What's your approach? Like where do most of your like sales come from if you had to split them into categories?
Yeah. It's actually Instagram. So I see definitely TikTok more as like your top of funnel and very high level awareness. And if they're interested, they tend to then just try to stalk you on Instagram and follow you there.
Yeah.
Um, and Instagram's great. I was gonna say if you do choose to build on one channel, I would definitely suggest either YouTube or Instagram because your followers actually see your stuff. Whereas now on TikTok, if you post, I can even though I have 300,000 followers, I could post a video that has like 200 views because it's not serving. If I try to diverse too much away from what I'm known for, what TikTok knows me as, like the nails side of the content. So I'll suggest that you maybe 2 years ago, I would just repurpose all my TikTok content.
So is it different now? The
I
game
think
with
it's
TikTok.
yeah,
So what's the nuance for you? The little difference.
yeah. So I think back then, if I just posted a ASMR videos, it was trending in that time. Now I think if you look on the pay, like on the social media, you don't really actually see that many ASMR. It's overused. And so it's actually looking for the next trend. I think even easy, like even the employee side of things, I just do see that as fading out by the end of the year because consumers are so smart and switched on that it becomes like what's going to be the next thing people are interested in.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of started approaching retailers because I wanted in-person experience where they do see a video, at least they can walk in and pick something up.
We'll talk about retail in a second. As someone that spends admittedly too much time on your phone, 10 hours a day, you do get a really good sense for what trends are coming up, what's starting to
Yeah.
work, what's no longer working as well. Do you have anything that you think that you've been able to observe will become a trend in 2025, is becoming a trend? Like you said, ASMR had its moment, really peaked.
Mm.
Now it's starting to be overdone. Consumers are like a bit meh by it. Do you see anything that you think is going to be working well for this year?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing I've seen is when I first started, or like in COVID, a lot of people became small business owners. And I think because like a lot of founders now are coming out sharing how well the business is doing or how like exciting it is to have a business, how great it is to have a team of people that you've built, you naturally have a lot of more small business owners or people trying to start businesses. And so I think the type of content that would provide a lot of value and people a lot of very interested in now is actually sharing the behind the scenes running a business. So I think like Brittany Saunders was like, she's
She's the
incredible.
best at that. Yeah.
She is amazing. So Black Friday last year, instead of running a Black Friday ad, she showed you how to run a Black Friday ad. So I see the shift there. I think it's more like, and I think there's another founder like Kiva. She just popped up on my feed, but she was sharing how she run her top of funnel ad. Like that, I've seen like a shift of like people are just starting small businesses, hyping it up, and so everyone loved seeing.
It's a really cool idea that, yeah.
Yeah, whereas now I see like because there's so many people, and I think a lot of Gen Zs want to become creators and like their own business owners and not actually become managers. So then your pool of people online are now more small business owners, and so you're now catering content that goes to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really cool. I think, yeah, the way that Brittany executes her content is like, I think she's probably one of the best business content creators.
yeah, so
But she
switched on.
started as an influencer. She was like a creator
Yes,
first
yeah,
and started a business,
yeah,
which I think like if you're someone that's young, early 20s, and you don't necessarily have the skill set or expertise to start a business yet, but you know you want to one way.
mm,
Best thing I would do if I was you, two things I would do is learn AI, like just because it's going to
yes,
set you up to
yeah,
have a
yeah,
massive competitive advantage. But where I was going outside of that is learn how to build a following, right? Build a
yes,
following because
yeah,
influencer-led brands, they all like almost all kill it. Because the
yeah,
hardest part about an e-com brand is that getting that first initial wave of momentum, particularly if you have a consumable product. Like if you've got a couple 100,000 followers and you can launch and you can get, say, 500 or 1,000 customers in your first month or two, you're set up for success. And then you've got the following. If you figure out the content creation piece, no, it doesn't matter what your product is, you'll be able to do well.
yeah, because they want to support you. And like I think if you build a really strong community, if someone does copy you,
Mhm.
what they're doing is going on being like, I seen someone else start that
Yes.
first. Whereas
Yes.
if you don't build a brand or the community and someone copies you, they don't know who started it. So you got no defendability as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're like the marketing brain behind the business, right? What's your favorite or most successful marketing campaign that you guys have run since you've launched?
I really enjoyed the one where we did with a tradie.
Oh, the one that was that a Today Show or
Yeah.
Seven News? What was that one? Yeah, talk to me
That
about
was a
that.
Today Show, but we had like there was a so at the point when we went viral,
Mhm.
a lot of people were copying us, but they weren't releasing our products. It wasn't the semi-cure gel nail stickers, and so consumers were buying from like these copycats and getting normal nail polish stickers and confusing it for ours. So on our videos, they'd be like, "This is a scam. It doesn't work. I've tried it, but they'd never purchased from us
Oh,
before."
wow. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, how can I show you in a very fun way that these do last you 2 weeks?
Mhm.
And I don't know, I forgot how I came up with that in the idea, but I was like, I'm gonna get a tradie to wear my nails and work on site for the whole day.
That's such a good content idea as
Yeah, and
well.
he was great. Oh, he was amazing too. And so we went on site. Shout out to the Phrase boys. They helped us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they got us in touch with the tradie. Oh my god, I need it. Andrew.
Yes.
Hate me if he realized I forgot his name. Andrew was amazing. We went onto site,
Mm.
put on a black set of nails on him, and yeah, he was like pretending to try to drill into his hands. He was like sawing things and it was staying on. And so we did a reply video to the scam comments being
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, but if it's a scam, can a tradie wear it all day? Let's see. So
Yeah.
that was my favorite one.
Did it convert well as well?
No, I never ran that as ads because I was so focused on the, what's it called, the organic side.
Yeah.
My head was just on the organic space. I need to pull that content and run it as ads.
Yeah. So what do you think? I ask a lot of like ecom brand founders, like whether it be a day, whether it be like a weekend, a Black Friday week, a month, like what's been your biggest sale period that like you just like you went through, well, as I said, whether it be a day, whether it be a whole month or a week that you like sold so many products and you just like get through the period and you realize, holy shit, we just did X.
Yeah.
What was that for you?
That was when we were hitting the 400 million views.
Yeah.
Because we had Lad Bible and
Oh,
Tyler
wow.
on Facebook repost our content. And we were like, that morning, it was like hitting $30,000. Like, where's this traffic?
You wake up in the morning already at
Where?
30K, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a lot for people from the US. But our biggest issue was because we also went viral and like selling things out. We were sold out 90% of our store. We couldn't keep it in stock. And so I think that actually hindered a bit of the sales at that time. But also, we were also shipping everything from Australia. So we were
Expensive, right?
expensive. So
Yeah.
I think, when Lad Bible posted us that 40 million view video, those couple of months were crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Big global reach, what that can do for your business. And like, see what I mean? It's like so often for businesses in that startup phase, first couple of years of ecom, often I have these conversations with people and it was one moment with like getting picked up by a certain media publication, one viral video, one thing that just is your launching pad and the business is never the same again. So for people that are like have these brands and they're sort of stuck 10, 20, 30K per month, keep working and keep trying to get better because there will come, if you don't give up, there will come a moment that everything changes for you. You just have to keep going and not give up.
Yeah.
Or like what you and me like maybe did in the past is like shiny object syndrome, new idea, let me go start all these other
Yes.
businesses. If you just do
Yeah.
that, you're diluting yourself too much and you're limiting your opportunity to actually be successful. So like double down on what's actually working.
Yep.
And like stay true to like the course. And it's not fun and it's
It's not easy.
harder.
In the
So
moment,
so many
yeah.
people don't do it, right? You mentioned like the mental health like journey for you has been a little bit up and down for certain periods. Like what do you rely on? What do you fall back on in the moments where everything kind of sucks? It feels like you're feeling a little bit sorry for yourself. Everything's going wrong. What do you fall back on to get yourself out of those situations yourself?
Yeah, honestly, I think what helped the most this year was actually connecting with other friends and founders that were connecting with founders on the same
Yeah.
level of you. Because I think the hardest part is when you're unable to explain the burnout to someone else.
Yeah.
Because your friends who are working day jobs or doing something else they can't really understand that perspective. And so having another founder who's experiencing the same things as you and being like, oh, this day sucks.
Uh-huh.
You're like, I know our ads are not converting.
Yeah, well, we've all been there. That's the thing, right? We've all been there.
Yeah, so that's number one. But also, I think that's also a sign of like stepping back